Hello everyone, this is Esfandiar Khaleghi. Welcome back to another session of the CAD CAE Bootcamp. So if in case you're new to the Bootcamp, welcome to the series of the CAD CAE Bootcamp at Kingston University London. We basically, through the CAD CAE Bootcamp, we're going to go through the introduction to the CAD using this different softwares. We already started CAD using the Siemens NX. We started with the 2D modeling, we went through the 3D modeling, we finished it with the assembly, and we went to the 2D drafting or technical drawing, and then we continue to the finite elements analysis. We're gonna do the same sort of thing to the SolidWorks. So if in case you are new to the program, it would be a really good start to come back to the same sort of levels that the previous student already was part of the software. If you are still with us for the past 4 sessions, thank you so much and welcome back to the another session of the bootcamp. Basically, within the next few sessions, we're gonna go through the same sort of thing we've done, but this time using the SolidWorks, and then we're gonna take it to the next further stage with the more computer-aided engineering using the FEA and CFD techniques. So within this session, we're going to have a brief introduction to the CAD, and we're going to go through SolidWorks basically. I'm going to briefly talk about how you can connect to university facility remotely, and we're going to open up the SolidWorks and make sure actually we are familiar with the environment of the software first, and then we're going to create a new folder and we will start making the different models using 2D and 3D modeling techniques, and we'll apply the dimensions, make the relation between them, or basically the constraints if you're familiar with the constraint on the other softwares. And we're going to have the few tutorials to which we are going to practice it together. So if in case you are new, please stay with me for the next few minutes that I'm going to have a brief introduction to the CAD. If in case you already had this one under the first session, you can skip and go to the SolidWorks straight away, which I'm going to highlight this video for you. So whenever we talk about a design, we talk about the design process, and we don't have any kind of one unified design processes. If you search online, there are lots of design processes. Every company might use their own kind of version of the design process, or when different universities they might have their own. But we always start by defining a problem. We want to find out what kind of problem we are trying to solve, and in order to have that information, we need to do a market research study. We need to study what's the status of the art, who are the competitors, if it's the kind of continuous series of the product, what's going on with the previous version. So we need to collect those information, and based on those, we're gonna decide what kind of specification we're gonna consider for our product, and we'll brainstorm and have the design ideation. Basically, we will start by the sketching, but now you need to be able to basically visualize it. And one of the issues was, before using the computer, you had to make a small scale version of it as a prototype to be able to visualize it. But with the help of the computer, you would be able to visualize it using the CAD software, and that's why the CAD software become quite well known these days. Also, the CAD software would enable you to save some sort of time. We're going to explain this later when we go to the computer-aided engineering, which basically we're going to use the same sort of CAD model we generated to study it, which is another beauty of the using the computer into the design. And of course, once you put it to the test, you're happy with it, you would be able to make a prototype of it and test it in real life to see whether it works. If you're happy with it, you will continue and release it to the market. If not, you will be able to come back, update your design, put a testing another time. So these kind of loops, it always goes on based on how many variation of your design you might need in order to be able to reach to the stage that you are satisfied with the product. So if you're into the world of design, you heard these 3 words a lot. The computer-aided design, or CAD, is basically a technology that within that technology we'll use the computer to be able to help us in creating, modifying, analyzing, optimizing our design. CAD has become well known these days, and there are lots of software that would be able to provide the computer-aided design, and to be honest, all of them, they have the unique features, and majority of them, they are really good to work with. Of course, once you made your model, you want to put it to the next step, which basically you're gonna manufacture it. Again, computer would be able to step in and help us in order to plan, manage, control manufacturing operations, and that's why even computer-aided manufacturing is quite well known into the production area of designing a product. On the other side, once you design a product, you want to see how it would be able to perform in a real life, but making a prototype is sometimes quite expensive and time consuming, and again, computer would be able to step in and help us in order to analyze the CAD geometry we have, allow us as a designer to simulate and study how their product will behave, basically by replicating the real scenario to the virtual environment using the computer and using the computer-aided engineering. So if you search online, you can see there are lots of softwares that they provide different kind of CAD packages. For instance, Siemens NX is one of the really good one because it has everything from the 2D drafting or technical drawing to the parametric 3D modeling. It has the integrated simulation part as well as the manufacturing. So it's a really good industrial software. And lots of the companies, they use the Siemens NX because of that. The same thing for CATIA. On the other side, we have the Solidworks. Solidworks is usually really good if in case you are new to the world of design, and especially about the computer-aided design, because they try to simplify everything, and Solidworks become a really good software for the educational purpose and for academia. Also, some of the small medium some companies still use the Solidworks because it's way cheaper than any other industrial one as well. So knowing Solidworks is really good, it's quite beneficial for you, especially on your CV. And once you know SolidWorks, it would be quite easier for you to migrate to the other software such as the CATIA and Siemens NX. And for the one who already attended sessions with me on the Siemens NX, you can now appreciate the kind of simplicity of the SolidWorks, and you would be able to decide which ones you want to continue for your project, for instance. Also, these days SolidWorks has the integrated manufacturing to it as well, which has become much more powerful than before. But before I actually go and open up the SolidWorks, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna quickly go through how you would be able to connect to university facilities remotely, and then once we do that, we're gonna open the SolidWorks. So let's see how we can connect to university computers remotely. So now let's see how we'd be able to access the computer virtually. So what you need to do, you need to go to the browser and search for Kingston University Desktop Anywhere, and click on the first link, which takes you on this page. What you then need to do, you need to click on here, and you will see you have two options in order to access to those computers virtually. You can either install the VMware Horizon client, which I highly recommend, or you can have access to those using the HTML, and basically you use your browser to connect to the virtual machines. But again, due to the limitation of the browser, I will highly recommend to install the VMware Horizon client on your machine. And the beauty of it, once you click there, you can see they've made this software available to different platforms. For instance, it's available for Windows, for Mac machines, the Linux, the iOS, as well as the Android. And also you can see also they made one version for the client for Chrome as the browser. Once you install it, you will get that icon, which basically you need to click on. So let me double click on that. And what you need to do, if in case it didn't pick it up automatically, what you need to do, you need to create a new server by clicking there and put myworkspace.kingston.ac.uk. So again, it's a myworkspace.kingston.ac.uk as a server. But usually it automatically would add that one for you. And once you do it, you need to double click and put your K or KU number there with your password. And click on login. So in here depends on what module or what course you're studying, you might have access to different machines. If in case you have access to a SIG PC lab, please click on that. Definitely I highly recommend to use that one because of course it gives you access to the much better perform computers. So once you're happy with which of these computers you want to go, you need to double click on those and let them to connect to that machine virtually. So you can see now I'm connected to the a virtual computer at the university. And in order to access to the softwares, the same as whenever you are at campus, what you need to do, you need to use the Kingston University Apps Anywhere, which is this software. Once you click on there, you need to let the Apps Anywhere to run. And what it does is basically go through your account and validate few software for you based on what kind of software you have access to. So let me maximize the screen, and you can see I have access to 215 different softwares. And now you would be able to search for the software you're looking for. This time we're gonna look for SolidWorks, which is this software. And again, if it's one of those software that you keep using, you can click on that kind of a start button and make it as your favorite. So the next time you log in, it would be quite straightforward to have access to the one that you're looking for. So as I mentioned, we're going to open the SolidWorks by Dassault system. And what I need to do, I need to click on Launch. Now if I minimize it, so what it does is trying to go and validate the license and open up for me. So please bear with it. It might take few seconds up to a few minutes to be able to actually open it up and launch it. And if in case it's the first time, it might take longer because what it does is install a version of it on the machines. Also, the SolidWorks is available to the student as well free of charge. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna upload the instruction how you would be able to install it on your machine if in case you want to install your machine. But bear in mind you need to have access to the latest Windows, and then you need to have access to a minimum Intel i3, and 8 GB of RAM is suggested, especially if you go further with more computational analysis part using the CAE. 8 GB definitely is a minimum. 8 GB and 16 GB usually is a recommended version. But if in case you don't have access to those computers, you can use the university computers virtually. So I'm gonna feed forward this one for you in order to save some sort of time, and then we're going to come back to the next of it. So once the software is loaded, you will be able to see the SolidWorks license agreement which you need to accept. And you're going to let the software to initialize few packages and open it up. Meanwhile, the SolidWorks is trying to open up. Make sure that in here the software is running. If in case you want to stop that software, you can click on a stop. And if in case you want to remove the software, you can click on here and then click on remove. Once you stop it, this remove option would be activated, which basically you are uninstalling from your virtual machine. But any sort of time, if in case you are in campus, you just allocate it, you can stop it and click on launch, which basically close the software and reopen it again. Great. So once the software is open, that you can see the SolidWorks environment. Into the Home tab, you will see that you would be able to create the new files, whether it's a part file. So every single of the component of the product you are making would be a part. You would be able to create a new assembly, which basically you have few components and you want to put them on top of each other and make a relation, which basically making an assembly. Or if in case you want to make a 2D drafting or technical drawing is basically in here. What also you can do in order to create a new file, you can go to here, go to the file and click on new. Or you can go and use this shortcut and click on new. Or basically what you can do, any other Windows shortcuts, you can use the Control and N, which basically do the same things, and you would be able to create a new file. If in case you are using the software for the first time, it asks you for the units and dimension standards, which basically you can pick up the dimension standard, whether it's a British standard or whether it's an ISO. These cases are going to go with the British standard. Also, you would be able to identify which of these units you're going to go for, whether it's a millimeter, gram, or second, which is by default for BSR, or you can use any other things. I'm going to go with a millimeter, gram, and second, so make sure any dimension that I refer to using the software is on millimeter. And now click on OK. So let's the software to initialize everything for you. And you can see now, because I use the Control N, it asks me which file is it. Is it going to be the part, or assembly, or drawing? In this case, the part, and I'm going to click on OK. Great. So as you can see here, the dimension that I define it would be able to change via here. So if in case I click there, I can go and switch them between. So if in case you missed that the first stage, you can easily come back here, or you can go to the edit document units, which would be able to see the rest of it. Even if you want, you can make your own custom one. But usually we use the standard version, and that's why this is what we went through. So in terms of the software, what you see under the top, you will see you have access to the different areas of the software, and depends on what level you are, whether you are doing the modeling or assembly, these menus will then change. You have the features, which basically these are the 3D features. Whenever we have a 2D model, we want to convert to the 3D. All these things will appear. These are off because we don't have any 2D sketch yet. Next to the features, we have a sketch, which basically the 2D sketches. So whatever we do using 2D, it will appear here. If in case you want to evaluate your design, for instance, measure it or do some sort of evaluation, they will come here and go on. For instance, if in case you want to run a simulation, it comes there, or whether you want to use the computer-aided manufacturing, for instance. But the one that we're going to use it a lot is basically we're going to keep moving between the features and sketches. And to the left hand side, what you will see the first one is a feature manager design tree, which basically you have access to the history of the file, the annotations, the materials. There are different planes, including the front, top, and right, as well as the origin you have, which basically has the point of 0, 0, 0 for X, Y, and Z. And you can see we have the coordination system there. So next to it, it's basically the property manager. So whenever you, for instance, pick up any of these on, you can see that the property manager would be activated, which is basically you need to deal with. And of course, next to it, we have the configuration manager. If in case you're dealing with the assembly, you see them in there within the trees, which we're going to talk about it later. So let me go back to the first feature manager, which is the one that we're going to keep using a lot. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to now create a new sketch. So in order to do that, what I need to do, I need to go to the sketch and click on a sketch. It's really important that what we're going to do, we're going to make a 2D sketch. So make sure if in case you are clicking here, it's not a 3D sketch, it's a sketch, a normal sketch. We're going to talk about a 3D sketch later. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on a sketch, and now the software asks me which plane basically you want to use, which of these 3 planes, whether you want to use the top plane, front plane, or right plane. Depends on where you want to start, you can decide which of these planes you're going to go for. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the top plane, and what I need to do, I need to click once on that top plane. So now I'm into the 2D modeling environment of the software, and you can see there are a bunch of icons there that we're going to use. So let's make the line first. In order to make the line, I can click on the line, and what I need to do, I need to click once on where I want to start the line. So I'm going to start it from origin, so I'm just going to click once on that point, and then whenever I move that point, it basically controls the length of my line as well as the angle of it. So you can see here, whenever I move them, the parameters in here will then change, which I'm going to talk about it in a second. So for instance, I'm going to make the line like that. You can see it's 180 degrees. So once you're happy with the line, you just click once more, but basically you make the line. If in case you want to continue, you can stay in the environment and click on the screen on where you want to go, and you can see you have a full control. Once you're happy with whatever you're doing, you just need to click on escape or click on the cancel there, which basically cancel your drawing. So I'm going to click cancel. Any of the information using this slide would be able to edit, and basically what you need to do, you need to click once there, and you can see those information there. For instance, you can see the relations. The relations, so if in case you're familiar with the other software, some software call it the constraints. It's really important, the relation you have, especially if in case you heard about the GD&T, basically about the geometry, dimension, tolerancing. These are really important. These are the standards. So for instance, if in case you want to make that line horizontal, you need to click here and make it horizontal. As you can see here, it's already horizontal, and software done it automatically for me. If in case it's vertical, you need to click it on the vertical, and you can see the relation in here. Then you will see the parameters. Basically, the first one is the dimension of it, the length of it. So if in case you want to change it, let's say change it to 150 for instance, you can click on there and you can see the length of it is changed. Also the angle of that line, you would be able to change it here. Right now I put it as horizontal. So if in case I want to add an angle to it, what I need to do, I need to come here first, right click and delete that relation. And now I would be able to put it as the 45 degrees for instance. And you can see now I made an angle for the 45 degrees. If I want to make that line again horizontally, what I need to do, I just need to click on the horizontal relation. And that's it. Once you're happy with everything, you'll click on the close dialog. So let me undo something. If in case you want to undo, basically you can go there and undo it, or you can use a Control Z, which I usually do. So I'm gonna do a Control Z to go back. You can see every time I click on Control and Z, basically I will do undo something. So that's usually where we make the lines. But if in case you click next to the line, you can see these are the different type of it. So that was the first active line, which basically you can make it like that. You just click once on the starting and once on the end of the line. And once you're happy with everything, you can either click on that OK, or what you can do, you can click on escape. But also we have the different type. So for instance, we can make a center line, which basically center line is the line that we use for the reference. They are not the active lines. So you can either make the center line by just clicking on the line and go to the center line, or what you can also do, you can come here and right click basically in there and you can convert it to a center line. It's the same things. So let me do Control and Z. Something else also, we have another type of line, which basically midpoint. So midpoint is basically the first point you choose is a midpoint between the two ending points, and that's when you want to make a symmetrical line, for instance. Let me click there, and you can see whenever I move on, that the first point is in there, and the second point is basically control the end of the line and make the symmetrical line for you. And that's for creating the lines. So let me do a Control and Z and move on with other part of it. So let's say you want to make a rectangle. Of course, you can go to the lines, and what you can do, you can make a line like that, go up and then go there. And once you go there, you can see that you will get some sort of hint to be able to give you an idea where to finish. And if you're happy with it, you just click there. And now if I close this one down, you can see that I made a rectangle. One of the question now you might ask, you see now once I close the line here become blue. The reason for it is one of the ways that Solidworks is trying to visualize it for you, that you have a closed curve. You basically close the model. The reason it's really important for you, you realize once we go to the 3D modeling, you need to have a closed curve, basically closed line or closed curve, in order to be able to convert to 3D model, and that's why the software is trying to highlight it for you. So let me do Control Z. You can see right now, because it's not closed, you don't see any kind of visual blue light there. But if in case I close this one down, you can see now it become blue. So you can see in order to make those rectangle, you need to make the 4 lines, and some people easily they prefer to use that. But basically we have a rectangle icon there which we can use. Let me do a Control Z. And within the rectangle, what you can do, you can make that rectangle using the 2 points basically. So the first point is the beginning, and the second point basically control the length of and the width of the rectangle that you have. Basically is the line, is the point that I'm trying to highlight it there. And once you click it, you would be able to come here and you can see you have control of every single parameter of it as well. So let me click on close dialog, and you can see if in case I want to change any of these dimension, if I click on that line, you can see that let me double click it for you. You can see all of the relations that will be able to appear here. So let me close this one down, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pick up for instance this line, and you can see every single line I pick up, I would be able to control the parameter of it. Let's say for instance I'm gonna do this one as 150 mils. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pick up that line I put that one as 100, and you can see this is how I would be able to control my rectangle. And of course, because this one is horizontal, this one is vertical, these two will have the same length and these two will have the same length. That's why we come up with the rectangle. But this is not the only way you would be able to make the rectangle. Let me do a Control Z, and you can see once I go to the rectangle, you have the different option. So you can make a center rectangle. This is really useful if in case you want to make the rectangle that is fully symmetrical on the sides. So for instance, if I want to keep that kind of origin in the center, usually this method is really useful. You can have a look. That once you click first, it controls the center of the rectangle. And the second one basically control the rest of the environment for you. Let me do it one more time. You can see the first point is basically the center, and second point control the length and width of it. So if in case I'm happy with it, I can click there, and you can see, for instance, the model that I made, the center of it is exactly in the center of the rectangle. And what I can do, I can pick up any of these lines there and then control, for instance, the parameter. Let's say change this one again to the 150. You can see then this one, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change it to the 100, for instance. And I'm gonna click on enter, and you can see now the size of the rectangle has been changed. So that's the second type of the rectangle which we can make. Let me do a Control Z, and you can also see we have the other ones, which basically 3-point corner. Usually with a 2-point that we make, you will start from the first point and the second point basically to control the size of the rectangle. Whereas with the 3D point, you will have the beginning, the first point, a second point that basically control the length, and third point control the width of it. So depends on which method is useful for you. You might decide which of these you want to go ahead with. So that's using the 3 points. Let me do Control Z, and now we're gonna go to the other type of it, which basically 3-point center rectangle. So the first point of these rectangle is basically become the center. Especially this one is really good if in case you want to make the angular rectangle, for instance. So what I can do, that's the center, that's the second one. I'm gonna put it to the angle, gonna control it, and you can see now I'm gonna make the model, the rectangle like that. Basically the first one, the second one, we're gonna control the length of it on one side as well as the width of it onto the other side. Also, we have one more type, which is the parallelogram. With the parallelogram, you would be able to make the parallelogram into the different angles. So you can have a look. You can see that you have the first point, that's the beginning of the line. The second point and the third point control the angles and control basically the width of the parallelogram as well. And you can see all of these types would be able to see there, and you can move between those. So that's for the lines and rectangles. Let's have a look on the how would be able to control the dimensions here. Let's say that I'm gonna make a rectangle here, a corner rectangle. So I'm gonna click once on the beginning and the second one in here. I don't want to put any kind of dimensions there. So as I mentioned, in order to control this dimension, I can click once on every line, and once you click there, so let me do one more time because it pick up all the lines. So you make sure you just pick up one line, and then you would be able to see the parameters there, which you can control, for instance, the length of it. I'm gonna put it as the 150. Let's put it 200 because I'm gonna change it later. If in case you want to visualize it and then control the length, there is an easier version as well. If in case you click on the smart dimensioning, the underneath of it, you can see we have different type of dimension. Depends on what kind of dimension you want to use. If in case you want to use the horizontal dimension, you can click on the horizontal dimension, pick up the line which is horizontal, click there, and now you would be able to put whatever length you're looking for. Let's say I'm gonna change it to 100 and click on enter, and you can see the length of the line has now changed to the 100. If in case this is the, for instance, the vertical, you can go to the vertical and then go there and put the dimension there. Let's say, for instance, I'm gonna change this one to the 50. But again, we have the smart dimensioning as well, and as for as the name shows, a smart dimension would be able to find out which of these dimensions you are looking for, whether it's a horizontal, whether it's a vertical, whether it's a circular dimension, whether it's an angle. The software is smart enough to find out which one you're looking for. For instance, let me have a look. Let me do a Control Z, and you can see here, if I go with a smart dimensioning, let me do one more time. Smart dimensioning is the same as the one before. You need to pick up the line, and now realize it's horizontal, which I can again put the dimension, let's say 150. And this one, it realized that's basically the vertical. And I'm going to put that one as 100. Also, if in case there is an angle, what you can do, let me make a line in here, for instance. I'm going to do it like that. And if in case I want to make an angle between those, I can go with a smart dimension, pick up the first one as a reference. And the second one, you can see as soon as I touch it, it now is changed to the angle, which then I would be able to control that angle. Let me say I'm going to put it to the 45 degrees. And so that's the beauty of the smart dimensioning. So something is really important about the dimensioning is basically having a control on the dimension. So you can see here I put the length of this one as 150 and this one as 100, and now I'm going to continue applying the dimensions, which is quite common, especially for the beginners to the CAD. So now if I click on the smart dimensioning in here, let's say in here I'm going to put the dimension again, you will see that error. The reason you will see this error because you over-define things. The reason that actually you get that error because this length is 100 and that's a rectangle. Of course, this length would be the same and it's 100 and you are putting too much information. And that's why the software asks you whether you want that dimension to drive everything or this dimension to be driven. And in order to get rid of that issue, what basically I need to do, I need to come here. Let me close this one. I need to come here, click once, and what you can do, you can see this dimension. You won't be able to control it because it's driven by this dimension basically. And in case you want to delete it, you can easily click on the delete button on the keyboard, and you can see now you get rid of that. So it's really important actually. You need to be sure about the dimension you applied. If I get rid of that 150, let me click there, and if I apply there basically, my dimensions become underdefined. So let me right click on that and click the delete, and you can see now is underdefined. The way that you would be able to control every single of these, let me delete this one as well for you. You can see if in case you pick up any of these line and move this around, you can see now I have a full control of it. I can pick that one up and down, and if I go there, can see I would be able to move these because there is no dimensions. Whereas if I apply the appropriate dimensioning, let's say I'm gonna put the dimension for here for 150, and now that dimension gonna drive that side, which basically I won't be able to move that line anymore. However, if I click on this line, I would still be able to control that line. The reason for it, because I don't have any dimension for this one. It might take some time for you to understand what sort of dimension to apply, but then after a period of time you realize what sort of dimension you need to put to make sure you are not underdefined and you are not also over-defining the dimensions. So now if I put the 100 millimeters in here, now I won't be able to move any of these lines basically because I put the correct amount of the dimensioning. Something else which I wanted to highlight it for you is basically the relation or the constraint if in case you are coming from the different softwares. So the constraint and relation, they are really important. So you can see some sort of lines that are coming here which basically coming from the standards. So in order to check those, once you click there, for instance this line, you can see I put that one as a horizontal and that's why you have that one as a horizontal. If I go there, you can see this line is vertical and that's why you have them there. So whenever you make the model, the software is trying by helping you by applying the relations automatically for you. But if in case you want to apply these things manually, what you can do, let me do a Control Z for instance, or what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove everything. So I'm gonna drag the mouse, hold everything and click on delete, and this is how you delete something. Let me click a line and then don't make it as the horizontal, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make one more line like that, And now I'm gonna apply those kind of relational constraints. So what I need to do, if I go there, you can see I would be able to add the relation. So if I click there, I would be able to pick up the line I'm looking for, and I would need to decide what kind of relations I want to apply. For instance, I want to make it horizontal, and you can see now it become horizontal and show that relation for me. Let me go and continue with this one. So this one I want to make it vertical, and I'm gonna click there and make it vertical. So let me continue and see how you can be able to make the relation between the two, for instance, curve or line. If I continue with this one, let me make it like that. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the relations again, pick up this one, and now I'm gonna pick up this one as well. And now you can see the relations in here would then change. I can make it as a collinear. I can make, for instance, that one as a perpendicular or parallel or equivalence. I'm gonna go with the equivalence, and you can see now this one will have the same length of the other one. So for instance, if in case these two wants to be vertical, what I can do, I can go there. Let me first, because it's already, this one is already horizontal, and if I go and click it, I will get the error. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click on the delete on the horizontal, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move that one around. And now if I go to the relation, I would be able to make this one with this line, for instance, as the perpendicular, and you can see that perpendicular sign comes in. And again, it depends on which one you want to go, whether you can apply the perpendicular or whether you can apply the vertical and horizontals. So let me get rid of these, and you can see now the solvers automatically do everything for me. So let me go and click on delete. And if I go with the rectangle, it's using 2 points, what you will be able to see here, this is the horizontal, vertical, horizontal, and vertical. Software done it automatically for me as well, and that's the beauty of the Solidworks. It try to simplify everything for you. So that's about making lines. We already make the different type of rectangles. We went through the adding dimension, and also we talk about the relation or constraint. Let's see how we'd be able to make a circle. So in order to make the circle, what you can do, you can go onto the circle and click once, and you can see again you have two type of it. I'm gonna go with a 2 points one, which basically the first point is the center, and the second point control the radius of it. And you can see here, this is where you would be able to control the radius of that one. If in case you're happy with it, you can click on close, and if in case you want to edit it or add the dimension, you can click there and you can change, for instance, these radius there. Let me change the radius to 50, for instance, and click on OK. Again, if you want to apply dimension, if I go to a smart dimensioning, if I click there, you can see I would be able to either put, for instance, the diameter by applying in here, or what I also can do, I can also change it and make the, for instance, it as the radius. So let me close this one down. And you can see, for instance, this is the dimension that I have. I can change that one, and whenever I change it, the circle would then change, and that's basically the diameter that I have. But let's see how I would be able to control it using the radius. So in order to change that diameter, for instance, to the radius, what I can do, I can come here and click on that dimensions, and you can see the first one is basically the value. Of course, this is the same thing for any other dimension that I apply for. I can control on the how much decimals I want to go for. By default is just the 2 decimals, so I can control that one as well. And also, if I go to the leaders, basically, I can control. So you can see this is basically on the standards. Usually keep these outside. So the reason for it, in order to put it outside, in order to simplify things for the designer, in order to read it. And over there you can see the leaders, they have these 2 arrows. So I can control this. If I come here, I can change the type of them, for instance, or I can go with the default one with the software has. Next to these, you can see I can change that one to the diameter, for instance, or I can go and change it to the radius, if in case you want to have the radius. So this is one of the ways you would be able to actually control it. And you can see this is diameter. Again, I would be able to control it to either have it like that, for instance. this is what we have by using a smart. Of course, if he wants to go, I can do it as an inside, or I can go and put it as an outside, for instance. And then like before, I also can convert that one to the linear dimensioning, basically, and with the linear dimensioning it shows that kind of sign for you as well. So let me do a Control and Z, and you can see the difference between those. That was the one method of making the circles. Let me do a Control Z. And before I go with that, you might now say how you would be able to do and using that environment basically. If in case you want to zoom in and zoom out, what you can do, you can scroll in, which basically the scroll in zoom out, or you can do the scroll out, which basically zoom in. And in order to control the direction of it, what I can do, I can drag the mouse, hold this the scroll, and it can show the different view angle of it. If in case I want to just zoom on a specific part, what I can do, I can come here, which basically if I click there, I can drag the mouse and zoom to the specific area and zoom it there. If in case I want to bring it to the middle of the screen, I can use the zoom to fit. If in case I want to see to the different angles, what I can do, I can go to the view orientation, and within the view orientation you can see I can see it on the top, on the front, on the bottom. Basically because we started on the front, on the top, so that's make it to the center and normal too as well, so I can see it properly. Of course, when we go to the 3D modeling, you can appreciate these more with the different orientation and what they mean. So that was using the basically the 2 points. So let me get rid of this circle first. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go there and see the other type of it. The other type one, which basically the primitive circles, you will control the first point, and then the second point is basically the end point, and the third point basically control the radius of it. So that's really useful whenever you have 2 points and wants to make a circle between them. That's the other type of the circle you would be able to use. And if in case you're happy with everything, you just click once on it and you can see now I just created a circle there. So let me do a Control Z. We already created a line, we went through the rectangle, we make the centers, and now let's talk about, for instance, making an arc. Let's say I have that line and I want to make an arc. Let me make, yeah, I think that's good. So now if in case I want to do an arc, I can go there and you can see again I have the different type of it. I have the center point arc, which basically the center point, I can find the center of it, let's say it is in here, and then a second point basically control the diameter of it. And you can see this is how I make that arc there. So let me do one more time for you. That type of it, that's using center point, you just find the center. Second point, control the where you want to start, and a third point, control the diameter of it. And you can see this is I made the arc. If in case I wanted to start it from there, I can do the same thing. That's the center, second point, and you can see this is how you would be able to make an arc there, for instance. Either this side, or if in case I want to do it on the other side as well, I can do the same things. So basically this is how then you move the mouse and you can see that kind of imprint as well. So usually within the arcs we already know the points and we want to just connect them using the arc together, and then you need to decide which of these arcs you want to go for. Let me do a Control Z, and let's say I have, for instance, this line there, and then I'm gonna make the one line, but I'm gonna finish it on the same where I started, and that's why I gotta go there to get that kind of hints there. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make an arc between those two. In that case, I can go with a tangent arc, which basically it will, the first point is where you want to start, second point where you want to finish, and now if I drag this one down, you can see it make an arc for me which is tangent, and if I scroll in, you can see there is a tangent sign or tangent constraint or tangent relation there, which is trying to show it to me, and that's making a tangent arc basically. And you can see because I close the curve, I get that kind of blue prints, blue signs there as well. If in case you want to make a 3-point arc, which you're gonna have a control of the radius of it, because the tangent, basically that tangent, that relation control the radius of it, I can go with the 3 points that basically become my first point and also the second point, and then you will decide on what gonna be the radius of it as well. You can have a look in here. So for instance, I'm gonna make it like that, and you can see this is how it's been made. And if I click on here, so you will see that you will have control of the shapes. The reason for these, because I haven't provided any kind of dimension, and that's why the model is not doesn't have any kind of constraint. I can move them around basically on whatever direction I want to do. And in order to prevent it, it's basically applying the appropriate dimension and appropriate relations. So that was it for the arcs. Let me go and talk about, for instance, if in case you want to make a polygon, again with the polygon you will have the center point where you want to start, and then you will be able to control the parameters in here. For instance, this is with the 6 lines, 6 sides, 7 sides, and I can continue with it. I can control the angles, I can control the length of every single of these, and this is how you would be able to make the polygon. If you want to, for instance, add a dimension, you can easily go there and apply a dimension there, which basically going to control these things for you. Let me do, for instance, this one 50, and you can see if I put that one as a 50, the rest become 50. The reason for it, because the relation that we have between them, they have the equal lengths, and this is how basically the polygon is created. If in case you want to make a slot, again go to the straight slot. That's the first point, the second point where you want to finish, and this is how you would be able to make a straight slot like that. If in case you want to make, for instance, an ellipse, this is the same thing. First point is the center, second point is basically control the radius of it, and now you can control basically the width of it as well, and this is how you can make the ellipse. So that length is controllable, this length is also controllable. If in case you want to make a spline, basically with the spline, that's the first point, and every single time I click it will generate 1 point for me, and then I would be able to use these points later. So if I close this one down, you can see every single of these points, when I click on there, I can move them around, and then I can control the relation between those. So for instance, I can control that length, I can control the relation and get a different kind of shapes by moving the splines. If in case you want to make 1 point, let's say that's the point, I'm going to create a point in there. I can go there, and you can see now it's a point is created on there, and now I will have 1 more point in order to control things and make the relations. So if in case you want to, for instance, add a text, you can go and click on the text, and within the text you would be able to type in whatever you are looking for, but basically you need to connect it to a curve as well in order to basically that curve control that one. Even if you don't apply it on the curve, you click on OK, then you have a full control of that text to be able to move it around. But once you attach it to this, for instance, a line, then that line gonna drive that sort of text basically in here. And if in case you want to get rid of any of these, you can click on delete, which basically remove things for you. So let me talk about, let me get rid of that point as well, and let me talk about, for instance, the fillets and chamfer. So if in case you look at the kind of a product you're watching me, whether it's the phone, a tablet, a laptop, a computer, using the monitor, you will see that there are some sort of curvatures on the corners. So for instance, let's assume that they are a form of rectangle. You will see on the corner there are some sort of the curvature, which we call it the fillets. The reason we have fillets, there are plenty of reasons, but one of the common reasons for it would be make it, of course, much more appealing, but again, it would be easier to manufacture. And if in case you want to create those fillets, what you need to do, you need to go here and click on the sketch fillet and pick up the lines you want to apply the fillet. Basically, a fillet is between 2 lines, and what I need to do, I need to pick up the first line, and once I pick up the second line, the fillet then it will appear, which then I can control the length of it, for instance, in this case 10 millimeter. And if I'm happy with it, I'll just click on OK, and you can see that dimension will appear there. If in case, for instance, then you want to continue, the beauty of it, you can keep continuing, and then you can see that the dimension has been added to the other side, and you can see first line and a second line. What you will see here, it's basically it just put the dimensions on just two of them, but not the rest. If in case you want to have the dimension on every single of these, what you need to do, you need to tick this one, which basically apply the dimension on every single fillet. Also, every single of these fillets, you would be able to click there and then change the length of it as well. So for instance, let's change this one to the 20 and see what's the difference. So you can see here, the reason it doesn't allow me to change it, because I put that these fillet will have the same length of that one. So if in case I want to get rid of that, what I need to do, I need to get rid of that relation. Do you see that equal radius? If I get rid of that one, now this fillet will be able to control. So if I go there, if I change this one to 20, and you can see now it become 20. So it's really important. You need to understand these relations a lot, because otherwise you won't be able to understand it well. So for instance, now you could see that I couldn't change the length. I could realize that that's because probably it's a relation that's been added automatically, because I was moving between these fillets on one go. Of course, even you have, if you want, you can just do it one by one, which basically one by one, what you will do, you come there and then apply a dimension, close this one down, and then you close this one up, open it up again, and start on the, for instance, that part. But again, it's better to apply everything in one go, because that would be much more easier to apply these dimensions. Same as what I've done for fillet, I can also use the chamfer. In order to do that, I need to click there and go to the sketch chamfer. And within the sketch chamfer, I can do the same sort of things. And you can see that over there you have the two lengths. That two lengths by default is equal. The reason for it, because we have the equal distancing, and you can see is a 10 mil on that side, 10 mil on the other side. If in case I want to have a full control of every single of those, what I can do, I can get rid of that one, and you can see then I have the two different dimensions. One basically control the one of them, and then the other one control the other part. So I think it still is using some sort of yes, link variable, and that's why it doesn't let me to change it. If I change that one, you can see both is changed. The reason for it, because once I created that chamfer, it had a relation. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna make these two here, but this time I don't want to put a relation between them. So I'm gonna go with the sketch chamfer, make sure equal distancing is switched off, and if I click those two, you can see now I have a full control of every single of these. Whereas here you can see that link option. So for instance, in here, let me change this one and change it to the 30. This one is a standalone, and let me change this one to 20 as a standalone. Whereas here, if I change that one to the 30, the other one would then change to the 30, because there's a relation. So again, relation is really important whenever you use the features, basically. So let's also talk about the trim as well. Let me get rid of that, and let's say I have this one, and I'm gonna make an arc as well. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna zoom it to the fit it to the screen. So let me create an arc in between. So I'm gonna use let's say a 3-point arc, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make an arc between those two, and let's say for instance, it's something like this. And once I click on OK, and now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get rid of that line. In order to get rid of that line, I can use a trim. If I go to trim entities, you can see I have the different type of it. So in order to get rid of that line, I'm gonna go with a trim to the closest. And what it does, if I click there, you can see now I got rid of that line, and now we connect everything together. So the trimming also we use it for a different reason. For instance, if in case I want to use and make a corner, basically I can use a trim as an extension, which basically we call it trim to extend. If in case I want to use a trim to extend, what I can do, let me see, for instance, let me get rid of that one. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a line like that, a line like this basically. And what I'm trying to do, I want to actually make a line in here, and Let me continue with this line. And I'm gonna close this one line, but I don't want to actually reach it to the exact point. So what I'm trying to do, I want to extend, for instance, that point to that point. What I can do, I can go to trim entities. If I go to the corner, I can pick up the first line and the second line where I want to have the corner. You can see it actually extended that one for me. Also, we have the other type of it. Once we go through the tutorials, we'll talk about them later if in case you're necessary to use. So that's a powerful tool. If in case you're coming from the other softwares, for instance, the Siemens NX, they have a trim, they have the extend as a two separate functions, whereas here they try to put both of them into the one go. But again, if in case you want to especially go with an extend onto the software, if you go to the trim, you can see also you have the extend entities as well, which basically does the same sort of things for you. But again, the trim entities is much more powerful and have both. So let me do a Control Z, and this time what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and use the extend entities, and you can see if I click there, it automatically realizes there is a point and extend it to the closest point. So again, depends on which one you want to go. Both of them for this scenario would provide the same sort of result once we want to get, but again, depends on what you want to make it, and these might have the different functionality as well. So let's say I made that rectangle, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna apply an offset to it. So if I go to the offset entities, once I click on the curve, you can see it try to find out the rest of it because you need to have a closed curve. And now I can put a dimension on the what kind of basic offset I want to have. These ones are gonna go with a 10 millimeter, and you can see basically it would add another 10 millimeter on each side, and I will have that offset there. Also, if I wanted to have the offset inside, what I could do, I could go to the offset, and this time I'm gonna put it on reverse, and basically you can see bring the offset inside. If I want to put it onto the bi-directional, basically has the both the inner part, the outer part as well, and automatically would be able to generate those for me. That's again a really useful tool if in case you want to use the offset, especially once you want to extrude something, for instance, such as a shallow bar or something like this. So let me do a Control Z, and let's say I made that 2D sketch, and I'm happy with everything. So once you finish your sketch, what you need to do, you need to come out of that sketch. Let me get rid of this one, and in order to do that, you just need to click on Exit Sketch, and you can see that sketch will then appear here. Any other sketch that will have there, that will appear on there. Any of these sketches, if I want to edit it, I can click once there, and I can go to the Edit Sketch, which basically I can control everything within that sketch. And if I finish, I click on Exit Sketch. Let's say I have that sketch, I want to convert it to the 3D model, let's say a box or something like that. What I can do, I can go to the feature, which basically show the 3D features for me. If I click on the Extrude boss, so I need to pick up the curve. It should be a closed curve, and you can see I would be able to extrude it. So if I drag that direction, that arrow basically will control the dimensions for me in here. So you can see that these dimensions will appear there. Also, if I want, I can apply the dimensions there, and you can see, for instance, that's the 100 mil that I'm looking for. You can have it in one direction. If in case you want to have it to the other direction, you can click on direction 2 as well, and you will see that you have the same arrow, or you can put the dimension that you're looking for here, let's say 50 millimeter, and this time, and click OK, and you can see that I have a model that has the extrude in 2 different directions. And you can see every single of these 3D models basically come out of the sketch, and this is why the software try to put them like that, so it'll be easier for you to find out what kind of a sketch gonna drive that extrude. Anything you want to edit, you can do the same thing, such as a sketch. If I go to the box extrude, I can go to the edit feature, and you can see I can come back and, for instance, make it into the one directions, and click OK, and you can see now it become one direction. If I want to rename it, also I can come here, and you can see that easily I can double click there and then rename that one to whatever I want to do. Also, if I go to edit feature, you can see also I would be able to apply the, for instance, the draft, which basically with the draft you give an angle to it. Let me see, for instance, this one as the 25 degrees, so hopefully give you a better idea about the angles that I'm talking about. So that's the other kind of a property of the basically the extrude that I have. Let me go there and then change it back to without any kind of basically the draft that I have here. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go to a sketch and then change something in the sketch. Let me go to the sketch, and what I'm gonna do now, let me put into the for instance the top view. And now I want to make it let's say I'm gonna put that one as a 50. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change that one as a 50. If you remember, I can apply 50 there, or I can go to the relation and make this line with this line basically as equal. And now I have a square. And now if I click on exit, you can see that it automatically updated my model with what I have. But now it's basically is a square, so it's no longer a rectangle there. And if in case I want to change the dimension of it here, I can easily go there and let's change this one to the 50, so then I will have a cube. And you can see that basically that base, that sketch gonna drive that 3D model. So anytime you want to deal with modification of the sketch, you need to make sure you need to go to the sketch and edit it, and it's not only just the 3D feature that you need to edit on that part. If in case you want to see this model into the other views, you can see you can go there. You can put it, for instance, onto the top view. You can put it onto the front view. It's really good actually, even the software tried to highlight it for you. You can go here, which basically do a normal to. So if in case you are looking something like that and you want to see it exactly normal to, you can easily go there and go to the normal to, which bring it back to the same direction in front of you with 180 degrees. If in case you want to, for instance, to put it into the, I don't know, the isometric, you can put it into the isometric as well, which usually we present the models like that. If in case you want to see the model into the different style, you can see it with the shaded with the edges, which basically has the edges. I can go a shade without the edge. I can go, for instance, with the see the wireframe but without any hidden lines. I can see basically hidden lines inside, or I can go with basically the wireframe that has all the edges and all the lines, depends on where and how you want to look at to the model. So that's basically for today in terms of the teaching you the 2D sketching, and I think it would be enough for you for majority of the parts you want to deal. But again, it needs much more practice, and that's why we're gonna go through to have few tutorials together to see how we can put what we learn to practice. So let's begin the tutorials. So in the first tutorial, what we're gonna do, we're gonna make that model. And although it says it takes half an hour for you to make that model, you can see that it would be quite easier once you become much more familiar with the software. You can easily do it within less than 5 minutes. But again, at the beginning, this is roughly suggested time for you. So if in case it takes you around half an hour, don't worry, it's absolutely fine. Even if it takes longer, you can see once we go ahead with a few more tutorials, you get a speed in doing these models. So right now, please don't pay any attention to the how long does it take for you to generate these models. Just please pay attention on the techniques that you need to use, and also understanding these dimensions, and then how you would be able to start from these and convert to there. So let me open up the software, and now I'm gonna use the software to make that model. So for the first tutorial, let me close this model, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click on close. I don't want to save it. Of course, if you want to save it, make sure you click on the save all. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new file. So I will go to the file, click on new. It's a part again, and I'm going to click on OK. So you can see now I'm into the modeling environment. What I want to do, I want to create a sketch first, and in order to do that, I will need to go to a sketch and click on a sketch. So let's pick up the plane you want to start with. I'm gonna go with the top plane, and what I will do, I will create the first line with a length of 80. So what I can do, I can put the length right now once I'm doing it. So I just need to put it as 80, and you can see I'm going to control it, or I can apply the dimension later. Usually what I will do, I will apply the dimension later. So basically I just want to make the shape about what I'm going to do, and then go there and then continue with what I was looking for, and then I will apply these. I think the line, it didn't create it here, so let me go and then make the lines between those two. If I want to use basically that method, it's, of course there is nothing wrong with it, to be honest, it's absolutely fine. But if you notice there, it's try to emphasize you to use a symmetrical model, which basically this is what I'm doing. I wanted to make it 80 goes up, make that line goes up, make this one and then goes to the left. But what if I want to use a symmetrical model, and the reason it's go through it because it wants to teach us something new. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go start from here, and then right then I'll go with the 80, I'm gonna go with the 40 because I want to make my model symmetrical. But as I mentioned, there's nothing wrong with it if in case you want to continue with this one. So let me do a Control Z and then follow, let's say, a symmetrical way. So in order, if I want to go with a symmetrical, this time right then I go for 80, I'll go for 40. And then I need to go up by 10. So again, as I mentioned, you can put the dimensions now. Of course, you can do it later. And I'm gonna do this one and then go up and then go there. I'm gonna do it like that. So because we're gonna start this one from the beginning, I prevent the software to apply few relation. If you noticed, the reason for it because I want to apply this manually. But again, once it takes time and you become much more professional with the software, you can let the software to do it. But because of the educational purposes, I decided to get rid of those relations and let me control and then post those relations. So the first thing was this one, which had the length of the 40. I'm happy with it. This one's supposed to be 10. Absolutely right. For this one, either you can put the dimension if you want, and if in case you want to find that dimension, basically this one gonna be 40, half of it become 15, and a 10, therefore that one become 15. You can do it like that, or you can make the dimension later and let the dimensions gonna control it. I think it would be easier if I just put that one as in 15. But again, you can go and continue with the dimension, let the dimension gonna control everything. That line, I think it was 30. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring that one and I'm gonna bring it there to make it nice as well. This one was 30. The rest, what I can do, I can continue on putting dimensions, but I want to apply relation. If in case you want to apply relation, you can go click on add relations. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say this line, with this line, I want to be the equal lengths. And now you can see that I no longer need to put a dimension for that line, for instance. Also, what I can do, I can say, for instance, this line with this line, they have the equal length. And this line with this line basically has the equal length as well. And you can see basically this is, I just put the 4 dimension, that 4 dimension gonna control everything. So if you look at the model, there is a center line in here. So hopefully now you know how to make those lines. You can either make a line and convert to the center line, or you can easily go there and make a center line in here. That's basically a center line. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna use a mirror feature basically to mirror everything what I have there on the other side. And that's why we decided to go with a center line, because it's quite a straight away for us and it's much more easier. So in order to do that, I need to go to the mirror entities and I need to specify what entities I want to mirror. So basically I need to pick up all the lines that I'm looking for to basically copy it. So I'm going to pick up all these, and now I have to put mirror about, basically which one is my mirror, and that's I'm going to act as a mirror for me. So they make sure that's the line 8 is the mirror. So I need to go to the mirror about in here. So you can see these are all the lines that I pick up. So you can have a look. Line 7, line 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and all of them. I go to mirror about and I just pick that center line, and you can see now the software is trying to actually demonstrate it for me. This is what's gonna happen if I mirror it. Are you happy with it? Of course I'm happy with it. I will click on OK, and you can see that I mirrored my model. So because my model was symmetrical, this method was much more easier. Otherwise I had to make a line straight and then make the rest of it. And you can see even it copied all these relation with based on the one that I have. So what else I need to define is basically that kind of, a rectangle there with a length of 30 and 20, and also it has the distance on this side. So for instance, let me make that one first and then I can do the rest later. So let me make a rectangle here, and what I can do, if in case you want to exactly put it in the center right now with our dimension, even what I can do, I can go with a center rectangle, try to find the center of this one, which basically is in here, and make the center, or center rectangle, or what I can do, I can just apply the dimension later. I'm gonna go for both. Nothing wrong with it. This one is a much more better way, because then I no longer need to do and put the rest of the dimension, but I gotta have a look at it. So it was 30 by 20. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to a smart dimensioning, click on there, and then change this one to 30, and change this one basically to 20. Because this one is exactly in the center, I no longer need to put these dimensions, which basically the distance between this one as a 15, for instance, and distance between those as a 10. But if in case you use a normal rectangle, then you need to use those because you want to put them into the center of it. So now you can see here, if I go the distance between those two, you can see it automatically 10. And if I click it there, I should get that error. The reason for it, because of course that dimension is 10. The same things. If I go and apply the dimension between these two, you can see this is 15, and if I click it there, it's gonna show that error for me because I already defined everything. The reason for it, because I use a rectangle using a center. But if you use a normal rectangle, then I have to add those dimensions to bring it exactly in the middle. So we've done everything, and now what I need to do, I need to come out of the sketch. So that what I will do, let me put it to the middle of the screen so it would be easier for you to see. I will click on exit, and you can see I do have my sketch there. What I need to do, I need to go to the features, use the extrude, click on the model, and extrude it by the amount you are looking for. Let's say go for 30, and click on OK, and you can see the model that we just created using what we have. If in case you want to look at it to the other direction, you can hold the scroll of the mouse and look at it to the other direction. If in case you want to put it, for instance, into the isometric, you can put it like that, and this is how you would be able to see the model, but just create it. It didn't take that long. To be honest, it was quite a straight away, and also what we learned mirror as well. If in case you want to go back to that sketch, what you can do, you can go there and double click on the sketch, and you can see the sketch there. If in case you want to go and see it in normal, you can go to put it normal to the view, and then have a look at to the model. Once you finish with everything, make sure you save it. You can either click on here on the save, or can go to the file and then save it there, or you can use a Control and S and then save it based on what you want. Make sure actually you save it on local drive, so that's really important if in case you are using the virtual machines, because after a period of time these data from the virtual machines are wiped unless you save it on your local drive. So let me save it on this session. I'm gonna call it tutorial 1, so if in case you want to have access it later, you can save it there, and you can see the part, it's .prt or .sldprt, which basically is SolidWorks, and that's really good because it's also compatible with the other software as well. And I'm gonna click it on save and let the software to save it on my actually the local drive. And you can see once the model has been saved, you can see it as whatever name actually you saved. And if I go to my folders, we have it under. So let me quickly go and open up my local drive. And you can see into the session 5 is basically the first tutorial that I just saved it there, and it's a SolidWorks part. So if in case you want to open it up to see how actually we've made this one, so you can open this file up and then look at it from there. So that's it for the first one. You can see that actually we've done it quickly, and we didn't need even half an hour. It was just few minutes, and then even the next time you do it, it would be much more easier for you. So what I recommend is just please pause the video and then take your own time to generate this model. It's really important actually you put these into the practice, because basically learning CAD is just with the practice, so practice is really important, and then continue with the second tutorial once you're ready. So in this tutorial, we're gonna do almost the same sort of thing we've done before. I can decide whether I want to go and use one part and mirror it using the second part, because we have the reference here. But I think it would be much more easier if I just create one everything in one go, to be honest. And then I need to apply fillets and make these two circles, which basically gonna act as a hole, and then extrude it. So what I need to do, I need to make a line by the length of 200 and go up by the length of 90 first. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go there, create a new file. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to File, New, or you can use Control N, make sure it's a part. Let the software to open, and now I'm gonna go to a sketch and create a new sketch. I'm gonna again do a sketch on the top plane, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a line that this line gonna go up here. I think it didn't pick it up, so it's really important actually once making the line, make sure actually pick that one up, unless it was quite short. Yeah, do you see that? That's the one, for instance, it pick it up, but again it wasn't properly, so I've noticed it because it didn't let me to continue. So that's the two lines that I created. So let me go and apply the dimensions. So what we said, it was the 290. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to a smart dimensioning, apply this one as a 200 millimeter, and then this one was 90 basically. Great, I'm happy with these two dimensions, so I will go back, and you can see I need to make that line, which is the 40, and then comes down here basically by 40 again. The reason that line gonna be 40, because if this one is 50, this one is 90, that one become 40. So 40 and 40. So make a line by the length of 40 in here, and I will make comes down by 40. But what I can do here, I can make that one as a 40, and then rather than this time I'm gonna give that length as the 40, I can either go to the relations, make a relation between these two and make them equal, or don't put any dimensions, and then once I put the rest of the dimension, I'm gonna control that. So I'm gonna go with that one. I don't want to give dimension to this one. I'm gonna let the dimension to kind of control these later, and I'm gonna tell you why I decided to go with that one, because I think that one would be much more professional. So that one was 40. Then I'll make a line like that. Then I will go up, make a line there basically, and then I will close this one down. They make sure again it pick up the line. Do you see that? It pick up that line there for some reason. I'm gonna actually close this one because I'm gonna make a proper line. So sometimes if you draw things quickly, you will have that issue. Make sure actually you draw it properly, correctly on here. So I close this one down, and now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say relation. So these two, they have the same lengths. Do you see that it become the line 9 incorrectly? I'm gonna delete this one. These two, this line with that line, they have the equal length. This one with this one, they have also the equal length, but I didn't give the dimension yet. So now I'm gonna go with what it gave me. That line was 90, I already gave. Distance between this one and this one is 50. So rather than I put this one as 40, if I put this one and this one to the 50, I automatically get that one as 40. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say the distance between this one and that one gonna be 50. And you can see, so if I put the distance between, I don't know, this one is automatically 40, and if I put it, I should get the error in here. And the reason we haven't got the error because I haven't modified these things there. But again, this one you don't need it, to be honest, in here, because these two, they have the same length, and adding that dimension doesn't make any doesn't make any sense, to be honest, for you. So let me make sure actually I draw things correctly. Everything seems to be correct. So I've done that one as a 50. Let's say what else I want to give 40. This one is correct. And what I need to do, I just need to start filleting. So I have 6 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with a radius of 10. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go there, and before I apply the fillet, this length is not defined yet. And so the way they define these two is by having basically this one is 200, this one is 40, this one is 40, so that length should be 120. Yeah, of course, yeah. Then therefore we don't need to define that one. So basically that length, it should be 120, but again, I don't need it because I already defined everything through the rest of dimensions. So I'm going to do a Control Z. I don't need this dimension. So before I apply the fillets, basically because this is the only thing is remaining in here, let me double check the dimension. This one is 200, this one was 90, and something, if you notice that line, do you see that? You don't see any sign like this. It's basically what happened, this one should be vertical, and I think because then I created the line later, I didn't get it. Okay, so now basically this one we said it's gonna be 50. Let me bring it to the middle. 50, and now this one, this line, it should be 40. I'll no longer need it, of course, because if I click OK, I will get the error because basically this one is 50, this one is 90, that one of course become 40. So that's why this is what I was saying. Even in here, this length, if I go there, basically because this one is 200, 40, 40, this length should be 120. You could actually make the dimension there, or you could actually let the rest of the dimension control it. I prefer to go the same as what the tutor asked me and let only these dimensions they're going to control, and the rest of it is just through the relations. Even this vertical one, usually you will automatically get it because I make the line later. That's why I didn't get the vertical. So everything is fine. What I just need to do, I need to go to the fillet, pick up the first line, the second line that I want to apply the fillet. And now the reason I get that error, because if you remember, we made that side the same length with this one, and now it says the relation now will get the problem. Don't worry about it. Just say yes and continue with it. And I'm going to continue with those two as well. So in order to prevent that, you could actually add a dimension rather than just using the relations that basically make them with the equal length. So I'm going to make these two, again, I know, because then those relation then will get the error, but don't worry about it, because once we finish things, it will be fixed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 fillets, and if I click on OK, let me make sure actually they are constraint corners. If I click on OK, you can see I got those the same shade that I was looking for, and still they become equal now, but again with the new constraint. So I no longer have any problem with it, and also is the radius 10. So I've just done those, and what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go and apply the fillet for this one. It says 2 radius 15. So I'm gonna go and then make a fillet between this one and this one is 15. Let me change this one to 15, and it would be the same thing for this one and this one. So those are 15 there, and I need to add 2 more circles with a diameter of 15. So as I mentioned, if in case you don't want to get those errors, make sure you don't make them as equal and then use a dimension. But again, this one is much more better, to be honest. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and make the 2 circles. If you go to the exact point, because that radius was 15, and then I no longer need to find the center of it. Make sure also the circle you're using is this one, the circle with the center, not the perimeter circle. So I'm gonna go there and make the circle. Let me double check the diameter of it. Was diameter 15, and I have 2 of it. So go there, click here, and then again, because I was teaching you the other type of circle, by default pick that one up, and I will make this one, and I will make the other one here. Okay, so we'll go to the smart dimensioning. I'll click there. I'm gonna bring this one out. The diameter was 15, and I can also apply the diameter to this one, or I can go to the relations. Both of them is absolutely fine. Click this circle and click that circle and tell them they have the same length, and click OK. Everything's fine. I'm happy with everything, so I can click on exit a sketch, and what I can do, I can go to the feature, and I can go to the extrude, click there, and then get the extrude. Let's say put it to the 35. And you can see this is the model that we easily got it from what we were trying to do. Again, as I mentioned, there are the different ways you can do that. Let me go back to the sketch and explain it here. So what I can do, I can basically go and then make the, for instance, this one with this one, put the dimension. Every single of these I can keep adding dimensions. But again, I think it would be better to just go and use a combination of the relations with the dimension. But nothing wrong just applying this one with the 40, adding dimension for this one, adding dimension for that one, and then continue applying dimension. All of them are correct. Also, the other thing I wanted to mention, if in case now you think your design has become busy because there are lots of relations that actually you made, if in case you don't want to see them, you can easily go there and hide them there. So you can easily, for instance, stop seeing the relations. But again, I recommend that actually see the relations because you know what's going on there. But if in case it's annoying you, you can actually stop it. So basically that's it for the second tutorial. You can see that we've done it quickly and didn't take that long for us to generate that model. So let me make sure actually I save it. I'm gonna do a Control S, and I'm gonna call it the tutorial 2 and save it. So let's go with another tutorial. So in the third tutorial, we are trying to make this model using the new feature called Revolve. And what I can do, even the same as the previous one, I can apply the dimensions like what it is, like what I see, which is much more professional way. For instance, this one, this dimension is not given. So I can say, for instance, if this one is 25, if this one is 16, then I can come with that dimension, or I can go and let that dimension they're going to control. I prefer to go with the same way that actually tutorial says, that these dimensions they're going to control everything. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start by creating the line with a length of 22 and go up by 4 first. And let me make sure actually I close these models down. So that would be easier to just deal with one window. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a new file. It's a part. I'm gonna click OK. Make sure I'm into the modeling environment. I need to go to the sketch. Click on the sketch. Let me pick the top plane, for instance, or any plane that you're looking for. Make a line, but this time I'm gonna go in that direction with the length of 22 and go up by 4. And now I'm gonna apply the dimensions as I go, because then I can understand what I'm doing here. So it was 22. Something is really good. Do you see that actually I've changed the dimension here, but again the scale didn't change? The software is smart enough to keep this scale, which is really good. So that one was 4. And what I need to do, that's 22, that 4, I need to make a line here. But that line, the distance between this one, that one was 36. So this line and that line, 36 and 10. So what basically I need to do is basically a line here and go like that. And you can see it says the distance between here and there should be 36. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say the distance between there and there should be 36, and that basically control the length of that line. And the distance between, let me see, it's the line that I made there. The distance between this one and this one is 10. So the distance between this one and that one is 10, which basically control that line there. So now what I need to do, I made that one up also. So I need to go up again, which is what I've done, and then make a line there. So I will continue by having one more step, that one, and then this one goes up. And you can see automatically I get the vertical and the horizontal and vertical one again. And what I'm gonna do, it says this distance is 16. So the distance between that one and this one now is 16. And let me bring it to the middle. So that distance is 16. If in case you want to bring it to the middle, that's absolutely fine. And the distance between this one and the beginning is 44. So the distance between that one and this one is 44. So you can see this is how the dimensions are controlled, and that is driven by the dimensions. So I've done that part, and let's see what I need to do. So then I need to make a line there and then go up. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a line here, a straight line. I don't give any dimension, and go up. And let's see what I need to put here. So in terms of the length, I don't know the length of this one, but what I knew is the distance between that one to the center is 25, and then I will have a line with a length of 30. So the distance between this one and this line basically is 25. And I need to make a line with a length of 30 from here. Let me apply the dimension in there as well. This one is 30. And so what I'm gonna do is basically then we do have a line that goes straight with a length of 20 and comes down. So what I can do, I can make that lines go straight, comes down, and then goes basically there. Okay, and now it's become closed. So what I knew was basically the length of this one was 20. And if I remember correctly, the distance between this one and, sorry, the distance between those two was 4. So the distance between this one and that one is 4, which basically control this. Do you see that? Once I updated, it controlled everything for me. And what else? This 25, 30, I gave it that 20. So basically this one is controlled by these two. That 5 would be controlled by that. Also the length of this one would then be controlled by that 4 that I put, because this one is clear. The distance from here to here becomes 16, and then the rest of it I do have. So what I just need to add is just a fillet of 1.5, and I have 3 of it, which basically 1, 2, and 3, 1.5. So I do have a fillet in here between those two. And let me see whether you pick it up correctly, this one and that one. And do you see the error that I get because 10mm is bigger than this one? Of course. And so let me put 1.5 and then these two. Now we can see here is 1.5. Between these two was 1.5, and I think between those two was 1.5. Let me double check. 1.5, 1.5, and 1.5. The reason it says 3, so I can realize that actually there are 3 fillets basically there. I'm fine with everything, so I'm gonna click on OK, and you can see this is what I've done. Let me see whether do we have any other basically fillets somewhere else. That's it. So we've done everything in the 2D modeling level, and now I need to take it to the 3D step. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna exit the sketch, I'm happy with everything. But this time if I go to the extrude, you will see that I get something like that. And this is not what I'm looking for. I want to go around it. So that's why I need to use a new feature called revolve. With the revolve, what I need to do, I can go there, pick up the models that I want to have, and then I need to pick up an axis I want to go with the revolve. If I pick up that one, it automatically realizes that there is a curve that it needs to do, and that's the full revolve. That's a 360. If in case you want to go with the half revolve, I can put it as 180. You can see I do and get the half revolves. Let me go with a 360, a full revolve, and click OK. And you can see this is the model that I generated using the revolve technique, and you can see that it automatically everything created from the 2D sketch. And that this is the basic the aim of the 3D features. We convert the 2D model to the 3D model, and this time we practice a revolve basically. You can see if I want to change any of those dimensions in sketch 1, I can go with a sketch 1 and put it to the normal to view, and then control and change every single of these if I want. I'm gonna click on exit. This is the model, and what I need to do, I need to save it. Let me make sure I save it as a tutorial 3. And you can see that actually once we go to this tutorial, we're getting much more speed and it become much more easier for you. So let's go with one more tutorial. So in tutorial 4, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make that model, and in order to do that, I have to have few sketches rather than just having one sketch. It would be few sketches. So what I want to do, I want to make that base, and then the rest I'm gonna use that base that I created and apply the different kind of 3D features on it, which we are going to learn. So I'm gonna make a line with the length of 145 and goes up by 90. And then that one gonna have the depth of 25. It's the same thing, depth of 25. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go here, make a new file. Again, make sure it's a model, it's a part. Click on OK. And from the feature, I go to the sketch, click on a sketch. Let's say I'm gonna pick up that plane again and make the line like that. That goes straight. And I'm gonna make one more line in here as well. And let me double check the length. It was the 145 and 90. So I'm gonna go there and make sure I apply the correct dimensioning. And let me go there and then put 90 for this one as well. So I need to continue and then make a line that's a 25 basically. Go there and then go there. What I need to do, I just need to make sure actually I go and reach back to the same line in here. So this one is important. Let me see whether you pick up. Do you see, for instance, this is the line it make. It's quite common that the Solidworks do that. This is one of the, to be honest, common issues that you get the accidental lines, and connect these two together, and hopefully is the vertical as well. Good. So what I need to do, I just need to say this one is 25. And what I also can do, I can put this one as 25, or I can go to the relation and say those two, they have the same length. To be honest, it's the same thing and doesn't make any difference. Great. So that 25 basically control the length of the lines. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click on exit, go to features, go to the extrude, and now I need to extrude it. So let me see how much it needs to be extruded. So the amount of extrude, it's gonna be 72. And depends on what method. If in case you want to make it fully symmetrical, you can put it as a 36. If in case you want to put it on one side, you can go with a 72. Let me go with a symmetrical with a 36. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put that one as a 36 in here, and make sure actually is the blind that we're gonna go for. I'm gonna talk about it later, and I'm gonna add this one as a 36 again. But again, you can put it in 72. Nothing wrong with it. So that's it. We made actually the base, and now would be able to actually use that base that we generated and take it to the next stage. So let me go open up the file. So we make that one, and now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make these parts. So I need to make a rectangle 72 by 6, as you can see here. And so something is really important is basically to find what plane you want to basically use. I need to pick up that face as my reference plane. Because otherwise the kind of what I then draw, then it doesn't actually helps me to do that cut. So it's really important, actually that's the plane I'm gonna pick up. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click on a sketch, pick this one up first, then click on a sketch, and what it does, it actually convert that one as my reference plane this time. So let me put it to the normal too, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a normal rectangle. From here I'm gonna make that rectangle, and I need to apply the dimensions. Basically is the 72 by 6. So I'm gonna go there, change this one to the 72, and then change that one to the 6, and click OK and OK. And if I come out of the sketch, you can see that this is where I done the sketch. So rather than just the normal plane that we have, such as the front, top, and right, this is, I just use that one as a reference. So for the sketch 2, I need to convert it to the 3D. But this time, rather than I just use the extrude, it's a cut, right? It's gonna cut something. So from the extruded boss, I go with the extruded cut, and make sure actually that curve is highlighted. Otherwise, if in case you don't see it, if it's like that, if I do extrude cut, I have to specify which of these I want to go, and I'm gonna go with that one. And let me see how much cut I want to go. You can see here it says 50, so it's gonna be a length of 50. And if I click on OK, you can see I just done the cutting in that area. This is exactly what I was looking for. I just make this one a little bit bigger for you, so hopefully it's easier to read. It's basically I'm gonna make that cut on the top, and in order to do that, I need to refer to that part of the sketch. You can see I can make a rectangle with this one with the length of 50, and then that one become the the width of the 12, and also in order to bring it to the middle, the midpoint become 36. So let me make the 50 and 12 first. And I need to, in order to do that, it's really important, I need to pick that face first, and now go to the sketch. So I will operate there. Let me do a Control H, or you can do a normal too, is the same things, to go there. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and make a normal rectangle, and I'm gonna make a normal rectangle in here. So it was that dimension. Let me double check. I keep forgetting these. Sorry. It's basically was 50 and 12. Once you deal with lots of the dimension, you forget these. And this one is 12. So now in order to bring it to the middle, is basically the distance between this midpoint and there. If I put it as a 36, then it bring it to the center. And you can see now is in the center of it. So 15, 12, everything seems to be fine. Let me double check it again. Yes, it's absolutely fine. And what I need to do, I just need to do an arc in there. Okay, yeah, it's absolutely fine. I was thinking just in terms of the dimensions is okay. So what I need to do, I just need to make an arc in there, and something I made a mistake now I've noticed. Do you see that this one is 12, whereas here is a radius 12? I was thinking that why it doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's a radius 12, so that one should be 24. I was thinking why it doesn't look normal. Now it's okay, yes. And what I need to do, I just need to make an arc, So I can do for instance, I can make a 3-point arc, or if you want, I can go with a tangent. So let's go with a tangent first and see what the tangent says. Basically, with the tangents, you can go and then you can see it says the radius 12. You can get the same things there. So you don't need to put the dimension for a tangent because tangent, but even if in case you want to put it, that's basically 12. If I put that, then it will get the error. So in order to sort it out, I can either get rid of that 24 and let this one to drive it, or I can no longer have this one. So what I want to do, I'm gonna get rid of these, and then now let these dimension basically to control that. Let me have a look. And then basically that dimension to gonna control it. Let me get rid of this one. But both of them is correct, to be honest. There's nothing wrong with it. So that radius 12 gonna control everything because it's tangent gonna control that length. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go with the trim, and trim to closest. I'm gonna get rid of this line, and you can see now everything gonna join together. Everything seems to be fine. What I will do, I'll click on exit. Let me rotate this one, and now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and then do a cut. So the amount of the cut, what I need to do is basically the cut that I will get on the side. And in terms of the length of it, it's basically true all. I don't have any kind of dimension for it. So what I can do in terms of the sketch, I will go to the features, I'll go to the extrude cut. I can either go with a blind and then just drag this one down, or what I can do, I can go and then change it to the true all. It basically what it does is go through and cut everything. And that's it for this one as well. So we apply that cut there, we have the other cut on the other side as well, and now we can continue with our model. So what I need to do then, I need to work on that part, but basically that information I can get it from there. So I can do a circle here, basically with the bigger circle. So that's the bigger circle is a radius of a 30, and then I do need to make a rectangle by 36 and 72 basically on there. So that one is a radius 30. So let me go there, and what I need to do, I need to pick up that plane first. So it's really important. And you can see also it tells me that I haven't saved my file. Make sure I save it. It's really important you keep saving your file. So go to a sketch, click on a sketch, and now I'm in that plane. What I can do, I can use the normal too. And what I'm gonna do, because I want to make that circle in the center, I can go there and find the a midpoint and draw the circle there. But you don't have to, because you can also use the dimensioning as well in here. So that distance, that circle was the radius 30, or I can put the diameter 60, doesn't matter. And in order to bring this one to the middle, I can put and then put that one as a 36, because I already put that one into the middle. I don't have to, but if in case you want to make sure it's exactly middle, you can. So that's there, and then I need to bring it a little bit down. The distance between these two is 48. So what I need to do, I need to say, let me see, 48 is it from the exactly, yeah, for the 48, okay. So we'll go there and say that distance to there is 48. So that's important. And so that's that part that we are working with. Let me see what else. So what I need to do, I need to make a rectangle by 36 and 72. In order to bring that one exactly in the middle, I can go and then make a center rectangle. And what I can do, I can just say, okay, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make something like that. So this one is 72. I already know that because I put it exactly there, and do you see that? It's a coincidence. If in case the coincidence was there, then I need to put the 72, but because it meets there, it's absolutely fine. I just need to put that edge as the 36. So this one is 36. Everything seems to be done, and what I need to do, I need to use a quick trimming to get rid of those. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the trim, trim to close, get rid of that. I know. Yes, this one and that one there. Also, I need to get rid of this one, and this one, and this one. You can see now I got that closed curve, exactly what I'm looking for. Click on OK, and now I exit it. You can see I just made that part of the model. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do a cut this time. So I'm gonna go to Feature, Extrude Cut, make sure I pick that one up, and let me see how long should be. The length of that one is basically a cut of 12. Do you see that? It says a cut of 12. So what I need to do, I need to go there and then change that one to the 12 mil and click on OK. So I've done the cut on that part as well. So what I need to do, I just need to make that cut, which basically that cut that I have is the diameter 24, and also it's a through all cut. So it's really important. What I need to do, I need to pick that plane, the inner plane, and now go to sketch, click on a sketch. Let me put it to the normal 2. So as I said, Control 8 or is a normal 2. And what I'm gonna do, I want to make a circle exactly in the center of the center that I have, so it become exactly in the middle. Otherwise, I have to bring it to the middle. And this one, the diameter was 24. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click Exit, and then go to the feature. And now what I will do, I will go to Extrude Cut, and I will change this one and make it to the through all to do and cut it. So what you can see here, this is the same model that we generated as what we wanted to basically. And you can see it's just what we've done is through a series of the sketches. So every single of these, you will be able to see that we have different sketches, and also we got the different features out of it. And we've done this tutorial number 4 as well. So in this tutorial, is basically we've done the tutorial 4, and now I'm gonna go to the tutorial 5. So in this tutorial, we will gonna practice what we've done, but this time we have the different kind of features, and now we're gonna join them together. So in order to make that file, I will start by making that base, and then I'm gonna continue from it. So in order to do that, basically I need to make that part of the model, and let's actually go and make it. So let me go there, and I'm gonna go to here again, File, New. Make sure it's a new part. Click OK. And now I want to start a sketch. Let's say which one I want to make. Let's say this time I'm gonna go with the right plane. So this plane then will decide whenever you put them into the isometric, and nothing more than that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a line with a length of 10 in here. I'm gonna apply it later, and then go up, and then go there. So in terms of the dimension, let me apply the dimensions there. So that one is basically 10. This one is basically 30. And this one is according to the dimension 15. Something I've noticed, didn't pick this one up as vertical, so what I can do, I can go there and then make this line vertical to make sure that's correct. So 10, 30, 15, let me double check whether it's correct. It's basically 10, 30, 15. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna continue. So this line goes down by 4. I'm gonna leave it later. This line and goes up with the same. So hopefully if I can reach there, it's really good. And then I will go by 9 and then make a line here. So in terms of dimensioning, this one should be 4. So that we're gonna make sure that this one would have the same length of that one. What I can do, I can go to relation and say this one, delete, just line 4 with this line they will have the same length. To bring this one down, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say that one is the 9 according to the dimension it's been given. I don't give the dimension to this one. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say the distance between those two is basically 40, and now these 40 gonna control basically the line that I have there. Also that line is 10. Good. And what I need to do, I want to make a line between those two. So what I can do, I can go and make a line up to the time we go there, and then connect that one to here. And you can see this one is horizontal, vertical, everything seems to be fine, and now it's really good. So I'm gonna exit it, and what I will do then, I'll pick that one up, extrude it, and now what I'm gonna do is extrude it for the amount of 60. So let me do it symmetrical. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put it as the 30 and 30. And then click on OK. So what you can see I've done, I just made the base in here, and so that's the base that I made. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna then make the rest of the sketch based on that base that I created, and that base is basically the base that I just made in here. So now what I want to do, I want to basically make that area. So in order to do that, I'm gonna go and refer to that one. So what I will need to do, I need to pick this plane as a reference plane that I want to work with. So I will go click on a sketch, and again I will go to the normal to, and let me zoom out a little bit. So I want to make a circle which is exactly in the midpoint, so then I don't need to put it into the center. And what I know, the diameter of it is 32, so let me put the diameter of this one now is 32. And also the distance between this one, the center of it, and also here is according to the dimension is 88. Let me double check that. That's 88. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make 2 lines from here and make them tangent. If I get close to that one, so hopefully, do you see that? That shows a tangent sign, and I'm gonna make a tangent. If not, don't worry about it, we can add the tangent later. Do you see that's the tangent I'm talking about? If in case you don't get it, of course you can go to the relations, and what you need to do, you can go for instance in here, add relations, and you can say, I don't know, this line for instance with this one, and then you can make a tangent in here. Already they are already tangent, so I don't need to do it like that. And what I will do, I will close this one down, and also I need to make one more circle exactly in the center, but this time the diameter is 22. And let me make sure I just put it here. Diameter is 22. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna use basically trimming to get rid of that part of it as well. So we get something like that. I'm gonna click on exit, go to the feature, and now you can see I have the sketch there, and I want to extrude it in here. So what I can do, I can go to the extrude, and I need to pick up the curve I want to have. So I want everything. So what I can do, I can open up this one, and I can pick up that sketch that I have, basically the sketch 2. And rather than I just put the value in here, what I can do, I can go there and put it up to the surface and pick up this one. It automatically extended up to that. Something is really important, make sure you merge the results. If you don't merge the result, you would have 2 different bodies, one body and the other body is 2 different bodies. And once you deal with the assemblies or even the analysis part, you will then have issues, because then you have the different bodies, whereas you want to have just one single body. So make sure actually you measure result and click OK, and you can see now we will get the one single body that has these 2 as well, and we join them together. So what I need to do, I want to make that part of it as well. And in order to do that, I'm gonna make a sketch which is far from this one. And what I know, it's that distance is 40. So what I'm trying to do here, I want to go and then create a new plane. If you go there, once you're into the 3D environment, make sure you go there, click on a plane, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pick up that one as a reference, and then make a plane with the distance in here, with the distance of 40 on that direction, and click OK. And you can see I make a plane there. Now, once I pick that plane, I will go to a sketch and click on a sketch, and you can see now I'm doing a sketch on that plane, which is 40 mil far from the model that I have. Let me put it normal too. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make exactly the same circles that I have. If you draw circles on top of these, it automatically get the dimension from the one below. And you can see that if I click on exit, I got the exact 2 circles that I have from there. So what I'm trying to do now, I'm gonna click on extrude, and then makes an extrude of basically what we have there. We're gonna make an extrude of this 60 in here. And something is really important, make sure you merge the results at the end, because otherwise, the same as what we discussed about, then we don't get basically one single body. So join them together, and you can see that this is what we got on there. So now you can see I'm gonna create those two. You can do that using 3D because we are learning 2D modeling. I'm gonna go and do it through the sketch, but of course you can do it through the 3D and create a whole. But let's go using the 2D modeling. So what I need to do, I need to make those two using the sketch on that plane. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pick up that one, go to the sketch, click on a sketch, make sure I put it to the normal too. And what I will do, I will make a normal circle here. The dimension of it was basically diameter 12. And I need to put the location. So that distance, according to the dimension that I have, is basically, let me have a look. That distance is 10. And this distance between this one and that one gonna be 15. And I need to repeat this one more time. But what I want to do, I want to actually use a new feature in here. And that's basically calling the sketch pattern. With the sketch pattern, which we have different types, whether it's a linear or circular, you can make a pattern. So if I go with the linear, for instance, this is what we are looking for in here, you can see that I will be able to say how many of them I want. It's a total of 2. With the pitch distance of, in this case, is 30. And if I click OK, I'll get the same one there. For instance, if I want to make a circular pattern, I could go there and I can pick this one up and I can say how many of them I want and then what's the pitch between them. Do you see that? So that's it's really useful, especially in order to save time. So what I've done, I just went to and use a linear pattern with a distance of 30. And now if I click on exit, you can see this is basically now the sketch that I created, and now I can use a cut to cut them. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go to the feature and click on extrude cut, and make sure here you put a value, because if I put it through all, it will go and cut it. So make sure actually you put something like there. We don't need even to put a value, and then click there, and you can see that this is what I've done, just made a cut there. And what I need to do, I just need to do same sort of things on top of that area according to the instruction that I have here. So in order to do that, what I need to do, I need to make the 3 circles with the diameter of the 6, and then also the distances that they have there is, let me have a look, 10 from there, and they are exactly in the center. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and pick that face first and click on a sketch, so that become my reference. Let me make sure I put it to the normal too. And now I want to exactly make it in the center of these two. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go find the midpoint there, and now make a circle there. So what I know is basically the diameter of this one was 6, and what I also knew was the distance between this one and that one is 10. That distance going to be 8, but again I don't need it because because I already put it exactly in the center. I don't need to put that. I have to do it 2 more times, or what I can do, I can use a linear sketch pattern, pick that one up, and say this time I want a total of 3 and a pitch distance of 20. That's it. I'm gonna click on exit. You can see they are there, and what I will do, I will go and click on extrude cut, pick this one up, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do a through all, or even doesn't matter. Basically, you can just drag them down and click OK, and this is it. This is what we developed using those 2D techniques, and then we converted them using 3D. Also, we learned a few more techniques, such as creating new plane and also creating the pattern using the pattern in the 2D. So hopefully you learned something new from it. Please take your own time and practice it. Practice is really important. I try to emphasize it a lot. Practice is quite important whenever you deal with CAD. So make sure you pause it and then redo these at your own time. Also, once you finish that, make sure you save these. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna upload every single of these files for you as well, if in case you want to do them at your own time. And you have also the instruction of the every single stage what you need to do. Thank you so much for staying with me. We've covered the 2D modeling using the Solidworks, and hopefully now you have a good understanding about how you can use the 2D modeling and convert to the 3D modeling, and we will continue to the more kind of 3D modeling and with the 3D features within the next session. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.